We are now going to be talking to the gentleman whose name in South African politics carries more weight than any other. In fact, we know that if you were to ask South Africans two names of politicians, the one would be Zuma, the other one would be Zilla. That's really how strong the Zuma name is. He's a businessman, he's the son of a former president, and for over a decade, a central figure in the state capture story that reshaped this country's politics, a story that he has spent years contesting in the Zondo Commission and in court. And he was acquitted of culpable homicide in 2019 after being ravaged in the media on the circumstances behind it. Earlier this month, his story took its latest turn. On the 4th of August, just the other day, Jacob Zuma named him first deputy president of the MK party, which is now the third largest party in parliament, reshuffling the entire party leadership behind him. Whatever your view of politics, the succession question within MK has just got an answer. And every thoughtful patriot, thanks, Zane, in South Africa should care what it means. Please welcome the Deputy President of the MK Party, Duduzane Zuma.
This BizNews production is brought to you by Brenthurst Wealth, South Africa's leading boutique wealth manager, trusted to guide families for over 22 years. Invest better with Brenthurst.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Cool. Amanja. Oh, shit. Okay. I didn't expect that. Mr. Hogg, thank you very much for having me here today. I know this was quite last minute, but I appreciate you having me here today. And to captains of industry, business leaders, executive mayors, political and economic pundits, thank you very much for having me here today. My name is Duduzane Zuma, newly appointed DP of the Siziphiwe party. Where do I start off? Firstly, Mr. Hogg, you promised us snow today. No snow, no. Unacceptable, sir. There's no snow being smuggled in through the Durban port, and there's snow in the mountains. But anyways, Mr. Cameron, we'll sort this out when we have a sidebar. I think from the MK perspective, I'd like to take a snapshot into the past and move us forward. Just bear with me as I take us through this journey, simply because we have a lot of introspection to do as South African society. The MK party, yes, is a new party. It's got some interesting men and women in the party, in its leadership rank, in its upcoming rank and file, and it holds interesting prospects within the future. Now, what people fail to understand is the MK is here. There is an entity. I know people like skirting around the conversation and discounting the MK as a player, but the MK is a player. That's something that you need to get used to. And I say that with all due respect. And the reason for that is when you look at the political playing field, you look at geopolitics, you look at the changes happening in the world. It's consistent with what's happening in South Africa. We are 32 years into democracy. I don't want to bore you with stats. Everyone knows what the numbers are. Everyone knows what the stats are. Institutional stats, Stats SA, you name it. Oxfam within South Africa. We have these wonderful institutes that throw numbers at us, but there's a reality on the ground that we need to be serious about. And the reality is politics in this country has just taken an interesting turn. As much as people would like to have these conversations and draw triangles, pyramids, graphs, nobody really knows what the future holds. The MK has created an interesting talking point, an interesting dynamic in our South African discussion. Table talk, at the polls, taxi ranks, and purely because of one reason. People have the faith in what the MK brings to the table. They have hopes, and they know that the people that occupy this party will bring us to the promised land. Now, if you look at the politics leading up to this point, it's been quite an interesting dynamic. You look at the ruling party, you look at the opposition parties that have existed, you look at other smaller parties that have made their mark. I mean, we're sitting in 2026, and we're having the same conversations about who's who, what is what. And I feel like we need to change that a bit. When I look at platforms such as BizNews, and I appreciate and I respect the distance that you've come, and there's many other platforms that have these conversations. You look at the information that's passed on. My humble view is, it's nice when we all talk in these closed-off rooms, people that are in the system, professionals, business people, respectable people. But there's a reality outside that I think a lot of people are ignoring. And that reality is the reality of the masses. No one's speaking about the masses. We speak about the masses as voting cattle, and that's it. But their needs are not being seen to. Now, if we do not get to a point where we cut the bullshit and we start talking on equal terms, this is going to persist. We cannot have a situation where, at the moment, we've got, 3 economies in our country. One is a democratic economy that falls under the democratic state, which is basically what happens within the public sector, basically. The tenders and government contracts and that sort of thing, which is broadly known as, let's call it, the black economy. On the other hand, we have the corporate state, and that is private sector. We've seen great numbers on the JSE. We've seen value being built in this country and outside, globally. And that angle of business is known as, I don't want to say because you guys are the WMC, white monopoly capital. It's seen as the white side of the economy. And then we have a strange in-between economy that I think a lot of us are turning a blind eye to, but it's there. And it straddles both corporate sector and the public sector. And that would be the criminal economy. Now, why I'm mentioning this is we've seen with a lot of the issues that have existed, the political jostling, legislation, anti-legislation, whatever it is that everyone is pushing. Every time that we do not see eye to eye and agree on a way forward between what would be politics and business, big business, the corporate world, we'll always find ourselves in this position having these conversations. As uncomfortable as it is, these are the conversations that we should be leading with. So today I took a decision to not, I'm not going to do a sales pitch here today. I just want to get us to harsh realities because it's obvious. I mean, in this room, there are a lot of DA voters, I'm assuming, Freedom Front Plus, and possibly some other parties. Maybe some people don't vote. But yeah, I don't believe there'll be any MK voters in this room. I may be wrong. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here as, now a leader of the MKP to say we have an older generation of leadership in our party. I'm part of the younger generation. I'm 44 years old now. I've been a businessman. I've worn a businessman's cap, entrepreneur. I've been all over the show. I've done business in South Africa, Europe, Middle East, Far East, Asia, and I understand the plight of the business person. I've been there. I've been on the opposing end of discussions with unions within the mining space, within the manufacturing space. Not too long ago, we had COVID. COVID popped up, and I was one of the lone voices at that time. And my phone was blowing up because I told them, what the hell is this nonsense? You cannot shut down a country. Immaterial of what the issues are. We have a country that runs on an economy that people, if they don't wake up that day to go to work, they will not be able to put food on the table. And, I got my detractors beating me up online, on some TV networks. But the fact of the matter is we need to look at things a bit differently. We need to join hands. We need to be absolutely certain on how this country is going to move. We need to take a much longer term view, because every 3 to 5 years, we're all looking at local government elections. Every 5 years, we're looking at national elections. We've seen other parties removing different party leaders, and it creates chaos. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. I'd borrow a lot of what the executive mayor had said from Cape Town. We do share a lot of similarities. We do have the same understanding. When you speak about meritocracy, when you speak about free markets, when you speak about opportunities, when you speak about industrializing, when you speak about safety and security for men, women, children, that's what we're about. But at the same time, we have the masses to deal with. And we cannot have the situation where we're only dealing with a certain section of our population and ignoring the masses. I'll take it to the president of our organization, Mr. Jacob Zuma, who's quite an interesting character. He's all right, isn't he? He's an all right guy. But he's been hounded for a very long time, rightfully, wrongfully. I'm not here to speak about that. But the one thing that I will say is we should thank our lucky stars for that gentleman, for one reason and one reason only. He's held back a lot of revolt in this country, pre-94, post-94, but especially where we find ourselves now, because a lot of people look to him for leadership, for guidance as an elderly statesman, and as an elder in the community. Now, what he's done, which a lot of us may, shrug off our shoulders as someone that has created opportunities for the black majority in this country, is he's held people back and said, we'll get through this. He's spoken them through it, he's guided them through it, and he's here to do it once again. And we should hope he'll be here for a much longer time. Now, people want to talk about succession, they want to talk about a legacy project. I'm here to do my job, that's it. I'm here to do exactly what it is that you're thinking, to create a better country. I'm here to move the country forward. I'm here to make sure that everyone's rights are respected and everyone has fair opportunity. Now, when it comes to policy position, there's been a lot of debate. Of course, we've got some interesting policies. Never mind, people say we don't. But I think the reason for that is the policies that have been pitched are ones that make some people step back and say, hey, this is going to affect our happy place, which is not the case. You look at land expropriation or compensation, free education, the nationalizing the Reserve Bank, whatever it is. I want us to look at this from the other perspective. As big business, as the white minority in this country, as well as the Indian and colored minority, meet us halfway. That's the only request that I'll make. I think it's that simple. If we're able to agree and work together and not look at this as a scarecrow, I think we can move much further than we have. We've been having this pillar to post and just knocking this ball around for the past many years, and we find ourselves here. Come November 2026 and come national elections 2029, we will be here. It's inevitable. I think we all know this. From my side, I'm here to have a conversation. I'm here to offer myself as one of the leaders to say, what is it that we can do to work together to make this country a better place? And that will be without ignoring the plight of the majority, but also not infringing on the rights of the minority. We have to find each other. I played, the song choice was Toto of Africa. I've traveled like everyone else in this room, in the world, and there's times where I found myself playing that song. I've lived for many years outside of this country in my adult life. And when I miss home, that's one of my go-to tracks, I'm sure, like most people. And the reason I played that song was purely because we have a wealth of knowledge that's left our country. We know that. We want them back. We have a country to build. It needs to be inclusive. There's people that have left. There's been a brain drain and all that fancy stuff. We get that. But for the people that are living outside in the world, we will make the conditions better for everybody. We need those expertise back in this country, because in the next 15 to 20 years, we need to see something completely different in this country. And that's going to be something that I'm going to be a part of. Whether you like it or not, with all due respect, I will be here. I will be pushing the limits. We will be building the city, starting off with Durban, and then moving out into other provinces and other metros. The prospect, of course, looks great. To touch upon the GNU, as much as the GNU was constituted under interesting circumstances, the GNU wouldn't have been there in many cases if we didn't have the issue we had at the IEC. The IEC is a battle that we're fighting. All we want is free and fair elections. We also want the results to be respected and for them to be free and fair. And from the MK perspective, it hasn't been. Because if that was the case, there would be no GNU. So let's treat each other with respect. We're all here. We mean the same thing. We're coming from different angles. There's no doubt about it. But we're all going to achieve that same result. We're all looking for the promised land, and we will get there. That being said, that's my contribution. We have not been in government yet, so I do not have any wonderful, happy stories. Maybe next year when you invite me back, hopefully, we'll have some updates on how far we've gone as the MK party. And for everyone that's taken the time to listen, I appreciate it. I'm not going to take up much time. I'm looking forward to the engagements, the questions, and yeah, let's rock and roll. We've got a lot of work to do, and let's get to it. Thank you.
This BizNews production is brought to you by Brenthurst Wealth. A Mauritian trust offers a powerful solution for global estate planning. Invest better with Brenthurst.